Who actually stood up and fought for gun owners in Cheyenne in the interim Judiciary Committee last week, guys, when Fix Nix died temporarily? We're going to talk about that and more in tonight's video, guys. Aaron Dorr here with Wyoming Gun Owners. I'm going to post some comments in the comment section right now, and I'm going to host a watch party as you guys get signed in. Let me know where you're watching from. Post your location in the comment section. If you want to host a watch party for us as well, you can always do that. Helps the video be seen by more gun owners. That is very important as we're so close to the start of the 2020 fight that we're going to be going through. I'm going to post the watch party right here, and then we can be going here. Give me 1 second. All right. So maybe you guys heard, maybe you guys didn't see our last video, but by now you've probably seen the news that the much vaunted Fix Nix bill, the bill being pushed by the holdover, the dregs, the dregs of our former governor's administration, Nephi Cole. He's the head lobbyist now who is pushing for this. Fix Nix died in a 9-to-5 committee action late last week. We covered that in our video. And at that time, I told you we did not have a vote count yet because it had just happened, and we want to give you guys more information. That is the purpose of tonight's video, to make sure you guys know which members on this committee actually fought for gun owners and which ones did not. Some of the names on here honestly surprised me. And some of the names I think are not perhaps what they appear to be in terms of why they actually voted the way we did. So first of all, what is Fix Nix? Fix Nix is this legislation that is purported to stop bad guys from having guns. And so basically, if you are tagged as mentally defective at the state level, your name would then go up to a federal database where you would not be able to buy firearms anywhere in the country. It's a great idea, right? Sounds harmless. Sounds like no big deal. The problem is that this is a very dangerous precedent because people who simply voluntarily wish to go and speak with a mental health counselor for some reason could very easily find themselves added to a prohibited persons list, because the standard on how somebody gets into this database is so loose that it could easily morph into a red flag gun seizure bill or something very similar to that in the near future. And so WYGO has been opposed to this since the Nephi Cole, the lobbyist pushing this bill. He first approached me probably the third day of session this year in Cheyenne. He pulls me aside and he's like, "Hey, Aaron, you guys wouldn't be opposed to Fix Nix legislation, would you?" And I was like, "Are you kidding me? We're going to fight this every chance we get." And so because of that, we were never really given a chance to see the actual final draft of this bill until just days before or hours before it actually went up in committee for a vote last week. So we couldn't talk about it heavily, but by God, we alerted our members by mail and email, other things, that this could become a very, very bad thing for gun owners in Wyoming. And you guys took action on this. Big article came out, I think it was this morning. This morning. Powell Tribune, big article. Gun reporting bill fails in 9-to-5 vote. And what's great is that right back here, they're talking about how good the bill was and how it really shouldn't have failed. But right here, what does it say? Right there where my finger is. Even the newspaper says that the reason the bill failed was that during the summer, hardline Second Amendment organization, Wyoming Gun Owners, hey, if they're going to try to call us a name, I think being called a hardline gun rights organization, I think I'll take that. Hardline gun rights organization, Wyoming Gun Owners, began rallying against this legislation, claiming that such laws could lay the groundwork for government-sponsored gun seizures. Well, yes, as a matter of fact, we did. And you guys put pressure on the right people. And it goes on to say who voted which way. And that is one of the main things I want to make sure we accomplish in tonight's video, because there were some key people who worked their butt off behind the scenes to make sure that lawmakers knew this was not going to be in their best political interest. And these guys fought courageously for us. On this committee is a longtime champion for gun rights. You guys all know the name, Tim Salazar. Tim Salazar, of course, Representative Salazar, from Du Bois was the lead sponsor on Stand Your Ground law for us in 2018. He was the lead sponsor for us this year on legislation to rid ourselves of gun-free zones in government buildings. Salazar has been nothing short of a champion for gun owners for years in Cheyenne. And so Tim Salazar led more or less, and just to be clear, this is a joint committee, okay? So we're going to list off senators and state reps because they serve on the interim committee, and so both chambers have a select number of their members on this interim committee. So Tim Salazar, first off, led the charge against this legislation. Art Washut, Representative Washut, was a no vote on this bill. Representative Clark Stith, he was a disappointment, as frankly Clark almost always is. Clark was a yes vote on this bill. Clark also voted for amendments in the House last year that would have weakened Stand Your Ground law had it not been fixed over in the Senate. And so oftentimes when we need Clark, he's MIA, and he was a bad vote. He voted yes on this bill in committee a couple of days ago. Moving on in the House, Charles Pelkey, one of the few Democrats in the House, was a yes vote. No big surprise there. He's notoriously opposed to the Second Amendment. Bill Pownell, I always say his name wrong. Bill Pownell was a yes vote. Screwed us again. No good in the House on Bill. One of the best guys in the House, hands down, bar none, Mark Jennings. Mark Jennings was, as you could probably imagine, a no vote on this bill, loudly opposed it, and made sure everybody knew why he opposed it. So a big shout out and a big thank you on behalf of WYGO to Mark Jennings, who was a hard no vote on this bill. We appreciate that very much. Chuck Gray, another guy here who is a reliable, hard charger for gun owners. Chuck Gray has always been solidly pro-gun. We're going to thank him as well. He was a very adamant in opposition to this bill. He gave a good quote here in the paper. I'm trying to find it. He said, this bill would have created a procedure where someone could lose their gun rights simply by reaching out for counseling. He said the bill would not only have compromised our personal liberty, it would have discouraged people from seeking professional help for their problems. And he's dead on, and many mental health professionals have actually argued for once on our side on the gun issue, saying that by doing this, all you're going to do is guarantee that people who might want to talk to a mental health person would never do it, because they know that if they do that, their name goes on the list. So again, Chuck Gray was an adamant no vote. We want to thank him for that. Sarah Burlingame, yes vote. She's new, but her views against your gun rights are not new. And she was a bad vote on this bill. No surprise there. Dan Kirkbride, also no surprise, a Republican, but he screws us about as often as he can on guns. And so Dan Kirkbride, Republican, was a yes vote on this bill. So Republicans who were a yes vote include Clark Stith, Dan Kirkbride, and Bill Pownell, and that's it. That's the Republicans who screwed you. But let's realize that it is almost half the committee. It was half of the House members on the committee. And so when you hear or when you're told that there's no problem when it comes to our gun rights in Cheyenne, that GOP is in charge, folks, you should be concerned, because we have far more moderates than we have champions in the legislature, especially in the House. Oh, my gosh. All right, moving on to the Senate chamber. Let me see here. Move on to the Senate chamber. Who screwed us in the Senate chamber? Well, of course, it wouldn't be a gun bill, and it wouldn't be a normal day in Wyoming if Michael Von Flatteren didn't screw us on a gun bill. So Republican state senator Von Flatteren, he's like the crypt keeper. If you watch the movie, he's just like, the guy is, he's way creepy in the state capitol, and he always screws gun owners. He voted against Stand Your Ground law in the amendments in the Senate. He voted against, that was in 2018. He voted against repealing gun-free zones in 2017. He voted against repealing gun-free zones in committee, this committee, earlier this year in January. And he voted for fixed NICS legislation in committee just last week. So Von Flatteren is the biggest pile of crap in, one of the biggest piles in the entire state Senate. He was a bad vote, a yes vote on this bill. Senator R.J. Cost, newer member, was a no vote. We appreciate that. Senator Brian Boner was a no vote. We appreciate that. Senator Ansami Dalton, this is kind of a weird one. I'm not going to lie. She's a Democrat, hardcore against your freedom, against Second Amendment. Haven't had a chance to ask. I should probably just give her a call. She was a no vote. Lightning strikes. What can I say? And Tara Nethercott, chairwoman of the whole kit and caboodle, Tara, was a no vote. And I got to tell you, that was surprising. Some of these people, I think, know what's going on. I think they've seen some of their friends removed from the legislature in the not too recent past by you guys, by gun owners. And you know what? That leaves a big mark when people like Senator Fred Emmerich, a long-time opponent to gun owners, is booted out of office by WYGO members in the district. They realize that, and they remember what happens. So Tara Nethercott was the final vote. She was a no vote this time, but I do want to mention, I'd be remiss if I did not, that while she was a no vote this time, she was a yes vote in killing gun-free zone repeal legislation earlier this year in her own committee that she is the chairwoman of. So sometimes people vote the way that we want them to because they have good principles. Sometimes they're looking out for their own best interests. Sometimes it's a combination of all the above. Hard to say in this case, but that's the vote count from the committee. Now, what does that mean going forward? Is this thing dead? No, it's not dead. This is not dead at all. The interim committee process is perhaps the easiest. It is the easiest way for the bill to be fast-tracked during next year's shortened budget session, but it's by no means a dead bill. There's multiple ways to do this. They could, obviously, a state senator or state rep could introduce this bill all over again when the legislature convenes in February. Could easily refile the bill. The bill could also be reintroduced as an amendment onto other legislation. In fact, I was talking to a state lawmaker earlier today in Wyoming, in Cheyenne rather, who was at committee work today in Cheyenne, and he told me that lawmakers are already talking about ways to refile this legislation when session convenes for 2020. So this battle has been won, but this war is not over, not by a long shot. We have got to be prepared for this. I want to mention this too. The Fix Nix bill, and the article here on the Powell Tribune is like, they make this big point how Donald Trump signed this in 2018. So what's the big freaking problem? Guys, the deal on this is that these people are never going to quit. They're never going to quit. They're never going to go away. And we have got to be prepared for this every single step of the way. If we let this go, if this happens, they're going to try again on something else. They're going to move on to red flags. They're going to whatever they can do to water down our freedom. That is the goal. They all want to make this lovely state into the next Colorado, and we all know it. And that is exactly the first step of what Fix Nix would do. So while this bill has been shut down for now, it's not a done deal at all. Lawmakers are already talking about how they can advance this in another capacity as a standalone bill, as an amendment, any way they can next session in Cheyenne. So we have got to remain sharp. Don't forget, we have elections coming up next year, primary elections in August coming up. And this is our best chance to hold these people accountable. So let's make sure we do that. And again, if you know Representative Mark Jennings, he deserves a huge thank you. Representative Tim Salazar deserves a huge thank you as well. He fought hard. Representative Chuck Gray deserves a big thank you. These guys didn't just vote the right way because it served their purposes. They voted the right way because they are truly champions of gun owners, and they should be commended as such. Guys, share this video on your personal Facebook page. If you're not yet a member of this organization, guys, nobody fights harder. I mean, you can see in the paper right here that the only reason this bill died, it says it right here. If you're getting tuned in late, guys, we're going to quote from Powell Tribune. Article from today says, during the summer, hardline Second Amendment group Wyoming gun owners began rallying against the legislation, saying the bill could lay the groundwork for government-sponsored gun seizures. We're always going to be here fighting for gun owners. We need your support, guys. Go to WYGO.com, join WYGO, join WYGO.com, or go to our regular website at WyomingGunOwners.org. You guys have a great night. More to come. Carry every day. Stay safe. Take care.